In today's headlines, the troops of the 5th Infantry Division of the Philippine Army continue to pursue the communist terrorist group they encountered in the province of Kalinga. In the sad encounter, 2 soldiers were reported wounded. And a street party in the U.S. turned into a tragic nightmare when a gunman went on a shooting spree. The incident left 1 person dead and injured 24 others. What was meant to be a joyous celebration has now become a scene of sorrow and devastation. I'm Frederico Vaz and Newsline World starts now. The troops of the 5th Infantry Division of the Philippine Army continue to pursue the communist terrorist group they encountered in the province of Kalinga. In the sad encounter, 2 soldiers were reported wounded. Let's hear more with Omar Fonsuelo.
The troops of the 103rd Infantry Battalion and 98th Infantry Battalion under 503rd Infantry Brigade had successive encounters with the communist terrorist NPA in the area of Balbalan, Kalinga. According to Major Rigor Pamitan, spokesperson of the 5th Infantry Division of the Philippine Army, the first encounter occurred at around 10:30 a.m. on Friday, May 31, 2024, between the troops of the 103rd Infantry Battalion. It is estimated that around 10 members of the Guerrilla Front Committee or KLG Bagas were located in the part of Barangay Balbalan proper, Balbalan, Kalinga. According to him, they were able to locate the rebel group because of the reports from the residents.
Sa patuloy na operasyon na isinasagawa ng ating mga kasunduluhan dyan sa probinsya ng Abra ay natunton natin ang mga miyembro ng Komiteng Larangan Guerrilla Bagas sa tulong ng ating mga kababayan na nagsuplong o nagbigay ng impormasyon sa kinaroroonan itong armadong grupo.
In the said encounter, the military recovered 1 M14 rifle, 1 Springfield rifle, various types of ammunition, 2 improvised explosive devices or IEDs, explosive materials, and personal belongings. At around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, on the same day, the 90th Infantry Battalion encountered the retreating armed group in Barangay Balantoy, Balbalan, Kalinga. In the mentioned skirmish, 2 soldiers were wounded while the military recovered 1 M16 rifle, 2 backpacks, 1 IED, blasting caps, various medications, subversive documents, and other personal belongings of the NPA. Major Pamitan stated that the 2 wounded soldiers are now in stable condition.
At dun sa pagkakasugat, nitong sila Corporal Jomar Adatu at si PF Sikuyen na sa ngayon ang 20 sundalo natin ay nasa maayos na nakalagayan.
As of now, the 5th Infantry Division continues to pursue the fleeing rebels.
Tuloy-tuloy po hanggang sa mga araw na ito ang sinasagawa nating pursuit operation para matugis itong mga remaining members ng KLG Bagas.
Based on the initial report received by the 5th Infantry Division, there were traces of blood found in the areas where the NPA passed through, indicating the possibility of casualties among the fleeing rebels.
Sa latest sa mga reports ng ating mga ground force ay meron po silang mga nakita mga bakas ng dugo na marahil ay galing doon sa mga nakasagupang mga miyembro ng KLG Bagas at tinataya natin na may mga sugatan sa kanilang hanay.
Major Pamitan assured the public that no civilians were affected during their operation, despite the intensive pursuit operation to apprehend the remaining members of the KLG Bagas. The Kalinga Provincial Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict continues to urge the remaining members of the communist group to surrender to the government and embrace a peaceful life. For God and my beloved Philippines, Omar Fonsuelo, SMNI News.
Nearly 2 weeks after the change in leadership, it remains evident that some senators are not in agreement. Even the so-called Solid 7 group is also divided on whether to leave the majority and join the minority bloc. Troy Gomez reports.
As of now, it's still unclear whether the so-called Solid 7 will join the Senate minority. They are the 7 senators who did not agree to the removal of Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri as Senate President recently. According to former Majority Floor Leader Senator Joel Villanueva, their group often meets at the Senate, but they have not yet discussed the issue. Aside from Villanueva, the Solid 7 includes senior senators who are members of the majority: Senator Sani Angara, J.V. Ejercito, Win Gatchalian, Mig Zubiri, Nancy Binay, and Lauren Ligarda.
It's always more on what is happening, no? Example, itong nakaraang brownout, 2-3 oras yata kami pinag-uusapan namin itong problema sa NGCP, sa supply ng kuryente, etc. No? Unfortunately, marami tayo masyadong problema sa bansa na hindi dapat dagdagan ng issue ng politika. Talagang dapat tutukan ito at hindi po pwedeng maging tamad, lalo na sa ating trabaho. Hindi ko ako nagpapalilig.
However, out of the solid 7, only about 4 are openly considering the transfer to the minority bloc. For Senate President Chis Escudero, he does not acknowledge the solid 7. According to the new Senate President, he sees all senators as equal.
So hindi ko alam kung saan nangyagaling yung solid 7. Ang bilang ko pa rin, 24 na senador at hindi 15 plus 7 plus 2. Hindi ito basketball o football. 24 pa rin ang bilang ng senador. At mananatiling gano'n ang pagtingin ko, ano man ang kanilang sabihin, ano man ang kanilang pananaw.
Because of this, Senator Joel Villanueva and some other senators believe that alliances in the Senate might be finalized when Congress sessions resume this coming July. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, Troy Gomez, SMNI News.
Up next, Iran and Niger have signed a $56 million deal allowing the Islamic Republic to import hundreds of tons of uranium from the West African country, according to the France-based media outlets. This agreement comes in the wake of sanction threats from the United States, highlighting the geopolitical tensions surrounding Iran's nuclear ambitions. And Sweden, Finland, Norway, Iceland, and Denmark pledged continuous military and financial support to Ukraine in the recently held Nordic-Ukrainian Summit. Newsline World will be back after the break. About 1 million people have now fled Rafah as Israeli forces intensify attacks in the southern Gaza city. Palestinians in Gaza are facing unspeakable conditions, with 1 million people forced to flee their homes, according to the latest update by United Nations Relief and Works Agency. Fighting between Israel and Hamas will enter its 8th month on Friday, the 7th of June. Clashes intensified after Israel launched its limited military operations in Rafah in early May. Israeli forces said the operations seek to destroy the last strongholds of Hamas hiding in the southern Gaza and release the remaining hostages. Different countries intervene as negotiations for a potential ceasefire remain shaky. The Gaza Health Ministry, run by Hamas, said that the death toll from the ongoing Israeli attacks on the war-torn territory has increased to 36,439 as of Sunday. What was supposed to be a large street party in the U.S. state of Ohio turned into a tragic nightmare after a gunman went into a shooting spree. The incident left 1 person dead and injured 24 others. Let's hear more from David Lira.
In the city of Akron, Ohio, authorities have asked the public's help to identify the shooter and even raise rewards money to find the suspect as soon as possible. The mass shooting, which took place just after midnight on Monday, local time, killed 1 person, while 24 others sustained injuries. The tragic incident happened in the city of Akron. The officials found dozens of bullet casings and a gun, according to the local media report. The Akron Police Department confirmed the officials were not able to identify the suspects yet as the investigation continues. In a desperate move to find a shooter, authorities raised the reward money from $10,000 to $22,500 US. 2 of the victims were in a critical condition, but most of them sustained non-life-threatening injuries. According to Acton's Police Chief Brian Harding, police were called to check the crime scene, which looked like a large birthday party with partygoers aged between 19 to 43.
Last night at approximately 10 p.m., our patrol officers responded to a private residence on Kelly Avenue after reports of a large gathering which included fireworks and loud noise. Officers arrived on scene to a large birthday party with over approximately 200 individuals taking over the street. Officers dispatched the crowd and no arrests were made at that time. Between 10 and midnight, people began coming back to the scene and the party resumed. Just after midnight, patrol responded again to the same location on Kelly Avenue after the dispatch center received shots fired calls, as well as multiple gunshot victims arriving at area hospital emergency rooms. The latest update we have is that of the 25 victims, at least 2 remain in critical condition this evening, in addition to several who have been admitted with injuries and the one individual who sadly passed away. Some victims were treated and released from the hospital, and the victims range in age from 19 to 43, with most of the victims in their 30s. My heart goes out to each of the victims, and my prayers are with the loved ones of the deceased.
The incident exposed a rise in cases of guns-related crimes in the U.S. There have been more than 180 mass shootings in the U.S. this year, according to the Gun Violence Archive.
The president of Ukraine made a surprise appearance at the 3-day defense summit in Singapore, which was attended by heads of state and defense chiefs worldwide. Russia and China were put under the spotlight as the Ukrainian leader gave an interview with the international media. Anissa de Guzman reports.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky accused Russia and China of undermining the upcoming peace summit in Switzerland following Beijing's decision not to attend the international event. Zelensky arrived in Singapore this past weekend and made an unannounced appearance at the 2024 Shangri-La Dialogue. The defense forum attended by the defense chiefs across the Asia-Pacific region was held from the 31st of May through the 2nd of June. Zelensky also met Singapore's new Prime Minister Lawrence Wong during his visit to the Southeast Asian country. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin was also present during the 3-day gathering. When asked about his expectations of China's role after the peace summit in Switzerland, Zelensky accused China of trying to pressure countries not to attend by refusing to participate in the event.
But it seems to me that to disrupt the summit, to make steps to weaken the representation of leaders and countries, to do everything so that certain leaders do not arrive at peace summit, to push them, pressure them, that definitely does not bring peace closer. And that is not only support to Russia, that is basically support of war.
Furthermore, the Ukrainian leader accused Russia of using China's influence to disrupt the summit as he appealed for political and humanitarian support from Asian countries.
Unfortunately, regrettably, Russia, using Chinese influence on the region, using Chinese diplomats also, does everything to disrupt peace summit. Regrettably, it is unfortunate that such big, independent, powerful country as China is an instrument in the hands of Putin.
Admiral Dong Jun, China's Minister of National Defense, has this to say on Beijing's stance concerning the Russia-Ukraine crisis and the West's accusations of supplying Moscow with weapons.
On the Ukraine crisis, China has been promoting peace talks with a responsible attitude. We have never provided weapons to either party of the conflict. We have put stricter control on the export of dual-use items and have never done anything to fan the flames. We stand firmly on the side of peace and dialogue.
China's foreign ministry last week said it will not send representatives to Ukraine's peace summit in Switzerland because it does not meet its expectations. Switzerland will be hosting the two-day summit on the 15th and the 16th of June. Zelensky claimed that Ukrainian intelligence had found evidence that some Russian weapons contained Chinese components. American officials have also accused China of supporting Russia's defense industrial base, which Beijing has denied consistently. Ukraine also called on Brazil to attend the summit. Meanwhile, China and Brazil last week signed a joint declaration that called for an international peace conference recognized by both Russia and Ukraine, and where both sides can freely discuss proposals to de-escalate the war. Reporting from Thailand, I'm Anissa de Guzman, your global citizen correspondent for God in our beloved country, the Philippines.
One of Thailand's most wanted fugitives will be sent back to the country after getting arrested in Indonesia. Chat Monggon Pisamagazan has the news.
A highly sought criminal from Thailand has been arrested in Indonesia after more than 7 months in hiding. Authorities traced the whereabouts of Shawalit Thongduang, who was using a fake identity when he got arrested in the resort island of Bali last week for assaulting his Indonesian girlfriend. Shawalit escaped from a hospital in the Thai city of Nakhon Si Thammarat while under police custody on October 22nd last year. The Thai fugitive was involved in a shootout with the police in November after authorities learned he was hiding in a village but failed to capture him. The 37-year-old entered Indonesia using alias Sulaiman in December 2023 after a 17-hour journey by a speedboat. Police seized several pieces of evidence including a fake identity card and birth certificate as well as an Indonesian bank account book. Known by his moniker, Bang Nanot, the fugitive faces multiple charges in Thailand including murder and drug trafficking. The operation to recapture him reportedly cost around 10 million baht or $271,800 and involved hundreds of police officers. Authorities are now investigating who helped him escape from the country and enter Indonesia under a fake identity. Shawalit will be deported to Thailand on the 4th of June and will be sent to a maximum security prison in Bangkok upon his return. Reporting from Thailand, I'm Shatmongkom Bisamaikoson, your global citizens correspondent for SM9 News channel.
Sweden, Finland, Norway, Iceland, and Denmark pledged continuous military and financial support to Ukraine in the recently held Nordic-Ukrainian Summit. Trisha Molina is back with more details.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky clinched more support during his latest trip to the Nordic region. Zelensky arrived in the Swedish capital of Stockholm, where he signed security deals with the prime ministers of Sweden, Norway, and Iceland. Norway will provide around 1.2 billion euros in military assistance to Ukraine this year. Iceland pledged a fixed annual financial support of at least 30 million euros from 2024 to 2028. These include long-term economic, humanitarian, and defense assistance, as well as helping facilitate Ukraine's future membership in the European Union and NATO. Zelensky also met King Carl XVI Gustaf of Sweden. He thanked the monarch for Sweden's military and humanitarian support to Ukraine, which included temporary protection from war for more than 35,000 Ukrainians. Additionally, all 5 Nordic states, namely Sweden, Finland, Norway, Iceland, and Denmark, made a joint statement to confirm continuous support for Ukraine. Sweden last week announced its largest military aid to Ukraine, worth 13 billion kroner, or about $1.23 billion. Stockholm's humanitarian and military aid to Kyiv has now exceeded 100 billion Swedish kroner, or over $9 billion, since the start of the Russian invasion in February 2022. Zelensky has been traveling to capital cities in Europe to appeal for more military aid for the Ukrainian army. His latest trip included a visit to Singapore, where he asked for political and military support from heads of state and defense chiefs in the Asia-Pacific region. Reporting, this has been Trisha Molina, SMNI News.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the words of the Son. The greatest love is when you are willing to live and die for a cause. And that's all for this edition. For more updates, you may visit smnichannel.com or follow us in our official social media accounts on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. For God and country, the Philippines, I'm Frederico Vaz, and this is Newsline World.
This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
Subscribe to SMNI News Channel and turn on the notification bell to keep you up to date. Also visit our official social media accounts and join our community on Viber and Telegram.